Hi everyone, my name is Anthony Jung and I'm the Executive Chef of Retail Dining here at the University of Massachusetts, and today I'm going to show you how to make a classic New England seafood stew. Alright, so let's take a look at some of the ingredients we'll be utilizing in today's recipe. I've got a beautiful monkfish fillet there. I've got some really nice scallops. These are dry scallops, so they haven't been injected with any salt solutions or things like that. We've got some beautiful mussels here. We've got some Jonah crab that I've cooked off previously. And it's actually an interesting story. This is actually a byproduct of catching lobsters. They taste great, so they're gonna be a great addition to this stew here. I've got a lemon here. I've got some beautiful little necks here, which really have this great maroon color, so very UMass. I've got some calamari here. I've got some garlic, some shallots, and of course these are going to perfume our stew here. Got some beautiful Italian parsley, some thyme as well, and a beautiful leek. And I do have to give a shout out to Our Wicked Fish in Massachusetts Marine Fisheries for all of the seafood here. We're partnering up with them to bring you a couple specials here at UMass, and yeah, let's get to it. Let's start on our leek here, and I've got a bowl which I'll just put over here, and all I'm gonna do is just give this a slice, and you can see it just has this really great green, almost lime green color in there. Very beautiful. Getting to the more of the white part of the leek here. Walking on you. All right, so let's get that in the bowl here. All right, and let's start on the garlic. And the garlic, you really don't have to dice it up or really fine chop. I'm a big fan of just really kind of crushing it for stews like this, and then we can just kind of braise that. All right, so then let's get some of that skin off. And then let's start on our shallot here. And shallots are very similar to leeks or onions. They just have more of a intense onion and sweetness. So most chefs nowadays really do prefer shallots in a lot of their recipes. We're just give them a slice like this, and then that container. All right, so let's start on our Italian parsley here, and I'm just gonna break off the bottom stems here and just put it into our pile. And then what I'm gonna do is just roll up the parsley, and I'm just gonna give a quick little chop here. And it doesn't have to be super fine, really. All you're kind of doing is just bruising this parsley here, so the flavor can release. And this is one of the things we'll add right at the very end to make sure that we keep that great flavor so it doesn't cook out. Let's start on our calamari here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut these guys in half through that first top section, which looks really great. And I'm just gonna score ever so slightly across this way and across the other side. So I'm making little diamonds. And what I'm doing is just scoring the calamari here, and it gives it actually really great decorative look after it's cut. So we're gonna open this guy up again, and just a little side story while I'm cutting this up. I remember fishing for calamari off of the docks with my dad in the summertime. You would go out in the evenings, actually in the night, I actually should say, and you would bring a flashlight and a squid jig. So some of my fondest memories of my dad is fishing for calamari in the summertime, and almost the pitch the pitch black. So just a little side note there. All right, so the last one here. All right, so let's take a look. All right, so off to the next step. So let's just cut up our monkfish there. And what I'm going to do is, it's just a really beautiful piece here, and I'm just going to give it just some cuts, just into some chunks here, okay? And it's actually interesting, monkfish, they used to call it the poor man's scallop. If you can see, they almost kind of look very similar. Yeah, let's just keep cutting away here. And I mean, one of the great things about monkfish is it just has such a great texture. It's a very meaty type of fish, which holds up in these stews quite well. So, all right, so let's get those on the plate. All right, so I moved over our aromatics over to the stove here. So we've got our shallots there, we've got our leeks right there, we've got our garlic here. We've got a couple other ingredients as well. So I've got some red pepper flakes there, or actually I should say crushed red pepper flakes, and some saffron. And saffron is just one of these amazing ingredients. Just a small little pinch goes a long way. And I've got some fish stock over here, and some tomato paste and some tomatoes, which we'll utilize later on to really give it some flavor and a little bit of body. So let's get our stove going. Turn that on. Turn on all three zones here. And I'm gonna take the lid off. Let's just add a little bit of canola oil here. Gonna add our shallots. It's gonna go straight in. Gonna add our leeks. And I'm gonna add our garlic. All right, and I'm gonna let this sweat for about 5 to 8 minutes or so, or until the leeks become translucent and the garlic ends up being very fragrant. All right, so it's been a couple minutes here, and what I forgot to do was I forgot to add a pinch of salt here, so I'm gonna do that. That helps just draw out the moisture here, and I'm gonna add our chili flakes there, and I'm gonna add our saffron as well to the sweat. And the reason why I didn't add them right in the beginning is because sometimes the pot can be a little bit too hot in the beginning, and it can scorch those dried ingredients there. So that's why I'm adding them now. All right, so our sweat is pretty much done here. Very fragrant. The onions are fairly translucent, or actually I should say leeks. The leeks are very translucent. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add, you can do this one-handed, just add a little bit of white wine that I had left over from the other night. Use a good amount. And then what we're going to do is we're going to let this reduce down to au sec, which is a French culinary term for almost dry. And what we're trying to do is really, really concentrate all those flavors, and then I'll show you the next step. All right, so while our aromatics are simmering down here with that white wine, what I'm going to do is I'm going to season the scallops here with some salt. Okay, I'm going to put the camera down for a quick second, and I'm going to pepper it. Now, most seafood stew recipes tell you to throw everything into the pot. However, because scallops are fairly expensive and they really, really are really delicious if you sear them. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of canola oil here to my saute pan. And I've kind of preheated it to medium high. Now just increase the heat because what I'm going to do is just sear them first and then add them to the stew right at the very end, just so we can really maximize their potential. All right, so with the pan coming up to temperature here, I'm going to first add a little bit of our seafood stock here to the pot. The wine cooked out pretty much all the way, so I'm just gonna add, I don't know, maybe, yeah, just almost half of that. And I'm gonna add our little necks first because they take the longest to cook. So even though it's a one pot meal, all the seafood is gonna go in different progressions into the pot because they all have different cooking time. So if you really, really want a great seafood stew, it's best not to overcook your seafood. So obviously the ones that take a little bit longer, we're gonna add first, and then the ones that take a little bit less, we'll add right at the very end. So let me grab our camera, and I'm just gonna put that on top, and I'm just gonna lower it to medium or so. And what we're trying to do is just steam those clams until they're pretty much open, and then we'll add some of the other seafood to it. All right, so our pan is about up to temperature. You can see how there's like these little shimmers in that oil, and it's mainly because of the viscosity has become a little bit thinner because of the heat there. Okay, and what we're going to do is I'm just going to grab a pair of tongs from over here. I'm going to take these beautiful scallops. Perfect. That's what we want to hear. We want to hear that nice hot sizzle. And let me just lower the temperature just a little bit so we don't scorch them. Let's get really, really beautiful scallops into the pot. And for Massachusetts, most of our scallops actually come out of New Bedford, Mass. Just a little quick tip on that, and these are really, really beautiful. And you can see I've left a little bit of space between each scallop. That's so the moisture can evaporate between them. So they don't steam themselves. Okay, I'm just gonna make a little extra room for our last one here. And there you are. All right, so I think our scallops are just about ready to turn, and let's take a look. Oh, okay, yeah. So we've got really, really great caramelization on that side. Turn the rest of these sides over. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut off the heat. Screw on this side, and then I'll show you the next step. All right, so our clams should be coming up. Yep, so a few are just about to open there. So let's just put this lid off to the side here. And then I'm going to add our mussels next. And let's add our pre-cooked crab. Okay, and let's add our thyme sprigs here. broth there. Okay, and then we're gonna let this go. Let me grab that cover again for just another minute or two, and then I'll show you the next step. All right, so let's check in on our stew here. All right, looking pretty good here. So let's add our monkfish. What I'm gonna do is try to get it into that broth at the bottom here. And move some of the clams around, and add our tomatoes, and to add our tomato paste. If I can get the camera to sit just right. And then I'll probably add a little bit more once I can kind of see how thick the stew is going to be. And let's just give this a little bit of a stir. One of the things is you really want to be delicate with the stew, because obviously the seafood's and if I'm looking at this just a little bit, so let's take a look at it. Let's just add a little bit more broth here. All right, so we'll return this to a simmer, and then I'll show you the next step. All right, so it seems like our stew is coming up to a boil here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lower the heat just a little bit. And I'm going to add a little bit of black pepper. And you notice I haven't added any salt other than just a little bit in the beginning. And mainly that's because the seafood should be fairly salty to begin with. So I don't really need to add too much more. You can see the clams are opened here. And what I'm going to do is just leave the cover off for a little bit, just so this can evaporate and reduce down just a little bit to concentrate those flavors. And what I'm going to do is just give it a quick little taste here. All right, tasting fairly good. I'm just gonna let this simmer just for a couple minutes, and then I'll show you the next step. Our stew has been simmering a little bit, and you can see it's been evaporating here. And what I want to do is just adjust the consistency, the body. Right now it's fairly brothy, and you can use you know, whatever thickening agent you prefer. I made a beurre Meunier, which is a butter and flour mixture, very similar to a roux, however it's not cooked. And the reason is because it's going to cook here. We don't need any extra flavors. And I'm just going to take my whisk and just add this bit by bit. And just that little bit of starch is going to give it some body. Obviously the butter is going to give it some richness. All right, so we just have our very last ingredient here. Our stew's looking delicious, to tell you the truth. So we're going to add our calamari, and I'm just going to add some parsley now. All right, we'll let this go for just another minute. Whoopsie. So just so we can reduce down just a little bit more, and then I'm going to add the calamari, put the lid on it, and just let it steep for a minute or two, and then yeah, I'll show you the plate up. I'm going to save some for a garnish right at the very end. However, I do want some of this really great flavor. And let's see if calamari. All right, I have to use my hand. There we go. Get that in there, and I've got my spoon. And right at this stage here, just gonna get those guys right into that great broth. I am going to turn off the heat. There we go. And I'm just going to put the lid on top. And I'm just gonna wait, I don't know, just a couple minutes so that calamari can steep through, and then I'll show you the plate up. All right, so I'm gonna bring over our pot. I'm just gonna set it right here. We've got our beautiful seared scallops there. We've got some crusty bread here. And I've got a lemon and our parsley as well, which I'm just set over here on the corner. All right, we got a beautiful New England stew here. And let's start with some of this great looking broth here. All right, and definitely enjoy some crab. And one of the great things about a stew is like this is you can pick out your favorite little parts. You know, some people enjoy mussels a little bit more, or calamari, or little necks. So you can pick exactly kind of what you like. All right, and all right, so let's just garnish with a couple of these beautiful seared scallops here. Just put them all around the end here. Let's just add a little bit more parsley to garnish here. And how about a little bit more broth? Just a little bit more here. All right, and add a fresh squeeze of lemon right at the end. If you add lemon in too early, it has a tendency to cook out. So squeeze right at the end really makes things really shine and bright. And let's grab a little bit of crusty bread here. Put that right on the side. All right, and there you have it. So this incredible classic New England seafood stew. If you get a chance, definitely try it, and hopefully you found this video educational and that you'll try this classic at home.